The UK Supreme Court has unanimously ruled that the terms woman and sex in the 2010 Equality Act refer to a biological woman and biological sex. But what does this actually mean, and how did we get here? In short, 4 Women Scotland were unhappy with the Scottish Government when legislation aimed at improving gender balance was amended to mean that anyone who identified as female would be recorded as a woman when it came to gender quotas on public sector boards. After they complained, the Scottish Government revised the guidance to only include transgender women who had a gender recognition certificate within their definition of woman. But FWS argued that this was still too broad, and after a number of appeals, the case ended up in the UK's highest court. So what have the Supreme Court ruled? 5 judges ruled unanimously that the terms refer to a biological woman and biological sex. They also said that the legal definition of a woman did not include transgender women who hold gender recognition certificates. The Scottish Government has therefore lost their case, and the First Minister has already said that the ruling has brought absolute clarity to the 2 pieces of legislation. Why did they say this? The court ruled that interpreting sex as certificated sex would cut across the definitions of man and woman, and thus the protected characteristic of sex in an incoherent way. It was already the case that gender reassignment is a protected characteristic in law, making it illegal to discriminate against someone on the basis that they are transgender. But single-sex spaces can exclude people with GRCs if it is proportionate to do so. What the ruling now means is that a trans woman with a GRC who was excluded from a single-sex space would be unable to argue they are being discriminated against as a woman. This is because the Supreme Court says that the legal definition does not include those who hold GRCs. The ruling hasn't changed the law or the contents of the Equality Act. It has ruled on the definition of the word woman and sex within the Act. How will this affect people? In terms of single-sex spaces like female prisons, hospital wards and refuges, trans women with GRCs could now be excluded. Transgender people have warned the case could erode the protections they have against discrimination in their reassigned gender. But Lord Hodge, the Deputy President of the court, has urged people not to see the decision as a triumph for one group at the expense of another. He said all transgender people had clear legal protections under the Equality Act against discrimination and harassment. 4 Women Scotland said, sex is real and women can now feel safe that services and spaces designated for women are for women. Senior law lecturers have said that the ruling doesn't mean things will change overnight, and the Scottish Trans Charity has warned against overstating the impact of the decision on trans people's lives.